The victim mindset. Playing the victim. It's a common trope in American society. Instead of being someone who takes charge of his or her life, the person embraces the role of victim. The problem is this: if someone you are in a relationship with plays the victim, spouse, intimate partner, friend, relative, coworker, whatever, what does that make you? Answer: either the persecutor or the rescuer. This is the cycle of the drama triangle, first introduced by Stephen Cartman in 1961. So, how do you avoid falling into either of these roles? When someone is playing the victim, refuse to be defined as a rescuer or persecutor. How? Let's talk about that. Recently, as a result of my work experience, I was asked to run a domestic violence group as a guest moderator. Most of the men had been in the group long enough to know the language to use in order to express remorse. Yet, there was one guy who used his alcoholism as an excuse, choosing victimhood over taking responsibility for his behavior. And when I said to the group that every day is filled with decisions and that every decision we make is a choice, he pushed back. "I'm going to challenge you on that," he said, obvious frustration on his face. "Go ahead," was my response. "Well," he said, "we only have 15 minutes or so left, so not enough time." You see, he backed down because I refused to be put in the role of persecutor or rescuer. Rather, I stuck to my guns that everyone is responsible for his or her actions. I did not attack him personally, but rather I expressed an expectation for society in general. I also did not empathize nor sympathize with this situation because he was not taking any personal responsibility. He needed structure at that point, not persecution nor enabling. Now, many people may disagree with my view of this, especially those who believe in the disease model of alcoholism. Yet, I will push back and state clearly that even if you have a disease, that does not give you the right to abuse another person or yourself. If you have a disease, it's your choice to seek help or let it ravage your body. Like the band Rush states in the song Free Will, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Furthermore, consider Locke's social contract. In his view, the state of nature is a circumstance in which human beings are required by nature's law to respect each other's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That does not mean we must help them achieve it, though. It just means don't stand in their way. Thus, making excuses for one's own or another's behavior, either playing the victim or allowing oneself to be put in the role of persecutor or rescuer, violates the social contract. Again, everything is a choice. This was certainly the case with my friend Charles. To say that his wife Layla's upbringing was dysfunctional would be an understatement. Her mother was aggressive, abusive, and mean. Her father, weak and ineffective regarding protecting his children from their mother. So, Layla grew up seeing these behaviors as normal and would vary between being the persecutor, rescuer, and victim in her own relationships. Generally, regarding friends, she was the rescuer. With family, the persecutor, and with men, she chose the victim mindset. One night, having suffered silently for years as Lila's spouse, my friend Charles began to open up to me about his marriage. Let me take you to that moment. We are on the back deck of his house, enjoying one of the rare occasions that Layla is out of town. Citronella candles burn strongly, dutifully chasing away the mosquitoes on this late summer evening. There has been a lot of rain the past few weeks, and frogs croak happily in the small stream which winds through the terrain about 20 feet behind his fence, which borders a section of woods through which deer and coyotes regularly traverse. The sun is setting, and we sit on either side of a small table, staring into the woods. For a while, there is silence, each of us enjoying our drinks and the relaxation of being with a good friend, a person for whom we don't have to perform or entertain, or soothe or be criticized by. Vincent, Charles is the first to break the silence. Do you ever think about getting married? Nope. Yet you and Layla seem to have made it work. I envy you, Charles. Don't, is his blunt response. I say nothing, and after a few minutes he continues. You know what drives me crazy about being married? What? How everything is my fault. I begin to comment, but he continues on his rant. If I clean something, it has to be done a certain way, or else I've disappointed her. And when I do things, if I don't do it when she wants, she's not happy. Like what, Charles? I'm confused. Well, like I clean once a week, and the day may vary because some evenings after work I'm more tired than others. She wants to clean only on Tuesdays. Okay. So what happens if you don't clean on Tuesday? She gets mad and says that I don't care enough to do it her way. And you know, her family lives a couple of hours away, and she wants to go see them almost every weekend. And if I don't want to go, then I don't value family like she does because I was an only child. I'm abnormal, according to her. I sit up, momentarily sobered by the tone of frustration in his voice and the amount of gesturing with his hands. Charles is usually a mellow guy. I'm wondering how long this has been lurking under the surface. Suddenly, he continues. It's like she always plays the victim. It drives me crazy because she then makes me the persecutor, and I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good man, and so are you, Vincent. Any woman would be lucky to have you. Now hold on, Charles. I'm just a man who does good things. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm a good man. But may I ask you a question about Layla? Shoot. Didn't you say that her family is very messed up? Oh yeah, totally. And I try to be understanding, but still, I have my breaking point with this shit, too. Who wants to be constantly blamed for someone else's unhappiness? It's really getting old. I attempted to pursue the subject, but he did an immediate 180 and switched into defending her, seemingly feeling guilty about his comments. That was the last time we spoke about it. And, not surprisingly, about a year later she left Charles and moved in with some of her dysfunctional family. I guess she tired of playing the victim and decided to embrace the more active role of persecutor. Obviously, she had no respect for Charles because he failed, and I mean failed, to check her behavior. Had he done so, she might have been happier, respected him, and stayed with him. Instead, she saw him as weak and ineffective because he mostly enabled her instead of having a backbone and standing up for himself. For me, living your life is about agency. Agency? What's that, Vincent? Being in charge of your own destiny, taking the reins of your life. Thus, I wonder, why would you want to be a victim? Why wouldn't you want to improve, grow, change? Well, some people come to the victim mentality through trauma, like Layla. Some are manipulative and seek rescuers. Others like to force people into the persecutor role because being a victim is a passive-aggressive way of maintaining control. Yet, does the reason matter? Does it matter if the abusive alcoholic is a drunk or an addict? That person is abusive, period. And there's no excuse for that. Yes, someone can play the victim and still be abusive. And everything we do in life is a choice. Victimhood may be a choice based on trauma or stress, but it's a choice nonetheless. Ancient Stoic philosophers believed that in order to be prepared for what life throws at us, we ought to visualize the worst possible scenario and feel those emotions so that whatever happens, we can handle it because we would have already dealt with the worst emotions about it. I believe differently. How about we visualize the best scenario and work for that? I'm also against the Buddhist idea that we should not be attached to outcomes. Visualizing outcomes is the best way to work towards them. Our mindset affects the way we respond to situations, affects how we deal with others, what we pursue, and for what we settle. Being a victim is settling. Victimhood is manipulative and a negative approach to life. It's like saying, I'm not worthy of respect unless you feel sorry for me, which is, in a word, pathetic. That's my story for this time. Please like the channel and subscribe, leave a comment, share the video. Until next time, this is Vincent. Goodbye.